Chosen one, stop scrolling right now. Do not move past this moment, and do not let your mind rush to explain it away. This video is about God's message reaching you in exact divine timing, and the reason you felt pulled to pause is because something within you recognized this before logic could interfere. You did not stop here by accident. You were not drawn by curiosity alone. This video exists to explain why this moment feels different, why it carries weight, and why your awareness responded before your thoughts did. What you are feeling is not imagination. It is recognition, and recognition is the first sign of spiritual awakening. Stay with this message, because by the end, you will understand why this found you now and what it is preparing to shift in your life. This video is not here to push you, pressure you, or create urgency for urgency's sake. It is about divine calling and chosen one alignment, and how true alignment does not shove you forward, it pulls you. What is pushed creates resistance, but what is pulled creates consent, and consent is how every genuine calling begins. That is why this message feels calm instead of chaotic, grounded instead of dramatic. This video will reveal why your path unfolded the way it did, why pressure came before movement, and how alignment draws you toward what's next with precision rather than force. Stay until the very end, because what is revealed will not just explain this moment, it will confirm what your spirit has been sensing all along. If you feel that inner confirmation, settling rather than racing, comment 777 now, not for validation, not for performance, but as acknowledgement. Alignment recognizes itself. Chosen one, recognition always precedes explanation. That is how God speaks to those who are listening beneath the noise. Spiritual awakening does not always arrive as a lightning strike. Most often, it arrives as stillness that interrupts momentum, a pause that feels intentional, a moment that carries weight without words. You sensed it before you understood it, and that is not random. Divine timing does not announce itself. It reveals itself. You may have noticed this pattern throughout your life. Moments when something felt significant before it made sense. Pulls you could not justify. Resistance that arose whenever you tried to ignore what felt true. This is not coincidence. This is the signature of divine calling and chosen one alignment. God does not shout at the chosen. He aligns them. He positions them. He allows recognition to surface first, so the ego cannot interfere. What you are experiencing right now is not hype. It is not suggestion. It is not emotional manipulation. It is confirmation. God's message reaches differently when it is meant for you. It settles instead of excites. It grounds instead of overwhelms. It clarifies instead of confuses. And the reason you are still here is because something unseen is already moving toward you. There is a sudden opportunity being prepared, not randomly released, not impulsively delivered, but divinely timed. You will not have to chase it. You will not have to force it. It will meet you where readiness and divine timing intersect. That is why this message arrives before movement. Preparation always precedes acceleration. You may feel a quiet war inside you, not chaos, but friction. The tension between staying familiar and stepping forward, between safety and calling. That war is real. Do not minimize it. It does not mean something is wrong with you. It means your light is necessary. Resistance always rises when alignment threatens stagnation. The war exists because movement is near. Circle back to the beginning and hear this without distortion. This is a message from God. You are not imagining the pull that brought you here. You were called. Your path has carried weight because it carries purpose. Your sensitivity has depth because it carries perception. Your endurance was formed because something ahead requires stability. You were never meant to blend in quietly or remain unseen forever. You were shaped for timing, positioned for impact, prepared for a moment that will pull you forward rather than shove you into chaos. Trust what is settling inside you now, that calm certainty is not hesitation leaving. It is alignment arriving. This moment marks recognition, not conclusion. Nothing is being demanded of you yet. Awareness is enough. Allow it to settle without rushing meaning. Divine timing unfolds step by step, never all at once. What is meant for you will arrive with clarity, not confusion, and with peace, not panic. Stay present. Stay open. The pull has begun, and it is gentle, precise, and intentional by design. If this touched your soul, if something within you feels steady instead of loud, comment 111, because you know it now. You were called now. Why pressure always comes before acceleration. Circle back to the beginning and allow this truth to land again, slowly and without resistance. This is a message from God. You are not imagining what you lived through. You were called, and nothing about your path unfolded randomly. Chosen one, pressure always comes before acceleration, not because something went wrong, but because divine timing is deliberate, exact, and protective. There is a reason your life did not move when you wanted it to. There is a reason doors stayed closed longer than felt fair. There is a reason clarity arrived in pieces, instead of all at once. For chosen ones, God does not rush the unfolding. He positions, He strengthens, He prepares the internal structure before releasing external movement. And that preparation often feels like pressure, because growth always stretches what already exists. Many chosen ones experience seasons where effort increases but results do not. You tried, you waited, you trusted, and still nothing seemed to change on the surface. That gap between effort and outcome can feel unbearable if you interpret it as failure, but it was never failure. It was formation. Divine timing was securing alignment beneath what your eyes could see. Pressure is not punishment. Pressure is precision. It reveals where strength is needed before responsibility arrives. It exposes emotional patterns that would sabotage opportunity if left unaddressed. It slows you down long enough for discernment to mature. God does not delay acceleration to frustrate you. He delays it to protect you from collapsing under weight you are not yet prepared to carry. Spiritual awakening often begins with heaviness, not relief. Awareness expands before peace settles. Responsibility is sensed before opportunity is visible. You began to feel more, notice more, carry more, long before anything outward reflected that change. That is not coincidence. That is the cost of refinement. God develops depth before He releases direction. Chosen one, the prolonged waiting you endured was not wasted time. It was time used to build capacity, emotional capacity, spiritual capacity, mental steadiness, the ability to hold tension without reacting, the ability to listen without rushing answers, the ability to trust God without immediate confirmation. These qualities cannot be taught quickly. They must be lived into existence. Divine timing never rushes, but it never drifts. While you felt stagnant, alignment was being secured. While you felt behind, positioning was taking place. While you questioned your progress, God was strengthening your foundation. Movement without foundation creates collapse. Acceleration without alignment creates chaos. God refuses to advance His chosen at the cost of their stability. The war you felt inside was not imaginary. It was the friction between calling and comfort, between what you were becoming and what you had been. Comfort resists calling because calling requires growth. Ease resists refinement because refinement demands surrender. That internal resistance is not a flaw. It is evidence that something real is forming. You may have watched others move faster, succeed sooner, receive recognition earlier, and quietly a question formed inside you. Why not me? Why does my path feel heavier? Why does it demand more patience, more endurance, more trust? The answer is not comparison. The answer is assignment. God does not give identical paths to those with different purposes. Chosen ones are often shaped in hidden seasons because public movement requires private strength. God builds restraint before he grants visibility. He develops humility before he releases authority. He trains patience before he opens doors that cannot be closed again. What looks like delay is often protection in disguise. God's message is consistent in this pattern. Pressure refines discernment. Waiting develops trust. Silence sharpens listening. When acceleration finally comes, it does not feel reckless or overwhelming. It feels steady. It feels earned. It feels right. That steadiness is the fruit of everything you endured before movement appeared. Spiritual awakening strips false identities before revealing true ones. It removes the need for external validation so internal authority can emerge. It dismantles illusion so alignment can take its place. This dismantling is uncomfortable because illusion often feels like safety. But safety built on illusion cannot support destiny. Chosen one, you were never meant to move early. You were meant to move aligned. God strengthens internal capacity before releasing external opportunity, because responsibility magnifies whatever already exists. If fear remains unaddressed, opportunity multiplies fear. If insecurity remains hidden, visibility amplifies insecurity. God refuses to elevate what would later fracture you. The pressure you endured was not meant to crush you. It was meant to clarify you. It taught you what matters. It revealed what cannot be carried forward. It trained you to sit with uncertainty without abandoning faith that ability will matter when acceleration begins. Divine timing does not ask you to become someone new overnight. It simply invites you to step into who you have already been shaped to be. When the moment arrives, you will recognize it, not because it is loud, but because it matches the work that has already been done inside you. Return again to the truth without minimizing it. This is a message from God. You were not imagining the resistance. You were not weak for feeling the weight. You were called, and the war was part of the calling. Your light is necessary, which is why it was refined rather than rushed. Let this understanding bring relief now. You did not fall behind. You were being positioned. You did not lose momentum. You were gaining stability. You did not misunderstand your path. You were learning to walk it with discernment instead of haste. Stand grounded in this truth. Pressure always comes before acceleration because alignment always comes before movement. And what is coming will not demand panic or striving. It will simply require presence, trust, and the willingness to move when divine timing opens the way. If this touched your soul, comment 111, because you know it now. You were called. The nature of the sudden opportunity. Circle back to the beginning and hear this clearly without distortion or doubt. This is a message from God. You are not imagining what you sense. You were called, and the movement you feel approaching is real. The sudden opportunity that is forming around you is not random, and it is not reckless. It is divinely prepared, shaped quietly over time, and released only when divine timing meets readiness. A sudden opportunity does not mean chaos. It does not mean impulsive risk or emotional reaction. It does not mean abandoning discernment or leaping without grounding. That is not how God moves with the chosen one. Divine opportunities arrive suddenly in appearance, but never suddenly in preparation. What feels unexpected to the mind has often been in formation far longer than you realize. This is why the opportunity will not feel dramatic or explosive. It will feel unfamiliar, yes. It will stretch you, yes. It may even unsettle parts of you that have grown comfortable with waiting, but beneath that unfamiliarity will be a deep sense of rightness. Not excitement alone, not fear alone, but clarity paired with calm. That is the signature of divine timing. Impulsive chances create urgency. Divinely aligned openings create invitation. Impulse shouts. Alignment settles. Impulse demands immediate certainty. Alignment asks for trust before clarity. This is how you will know the difference. The sudden opportunity meant for you will not pressure you to prove yourself. It will simply present itself and wait for your consent. Many chosen ones miss this distinction because they believe opportunity must look loud, obvious, or overwhelming. But God often moves through subtle shifts. A conversation that lingers longer than expected. An idea that will not leave you alone. An invitation that feels slightly inconvenient but deeply aligned. A door opening where resistance once lived. These are not coincidences. These are movements. Divine calling and chosen. One alignment does not always arrive through spectacle. It often arrives through alignment of people, timing, and internal readiness. You may find yourself being seen differently, trusted unexpectedly, considered for something you did not apply for, drawn toward a path you once dismissed. These are signs of movement, not imagination. The sudden opportunity may not arrive when fear disappears. It will arrive while fear still exists, but no longer governs. Fear does not disqualify you. Lack of alignment does. God does not wait for fearlessness. He waits for willingness. And willingness is formed through preparation, not perfection. This is why your past pressure mattered. This is why your waiting was necessary. This is why clarity arrived slowly. The opportunity approaching you requires internal steadiness more than external confidence. It requires discernment more than speed. It requires trust more than control. God strengthens these qualities before movement, because movement magnifies whatever is present. You may notice that this opportunity does not resemble what you imagined. That does not mean it is wrong. Divine opportunities rarely match expectations because expectations are shaped by limited vision. God sees beyond what you can plan. He opens paths you could not design. He introduces people you could not predict. He creates shifts you could not manufacture. The unfamiliarity you feel is not danger. It is expansion. Growth always feels foreign before it feels natural. The stretching you sense is not punishment. It is capacity increasing. Your spirit recognizes alignment, even while your mind searches for explanation. That tension is normal. Do not let it convince you to retreat. Chosen ones are pulled forward when readiness meets divine timing, not when fear disappears. If you waited until you felt completely prepared, you would remain still forever. God does not require mastery before movement. He requires trust and obedience. Clarity often follows action, not the other way around. This sudden opportunity will not force you. God does not violate free will. He presents alignment and waits. That waiting is part of the test, not to see if you are brave enough, but to see if you trust Him enough to move without complete certainty. Faith is not blind risk. It is informed trust built through relationship. Spiritual breakthrough does not always announce itself as transformation. Sometimes it arrives as a quiet decision that alters direction, a yes that feels heavier than expected, a no that finally brings peace, a step that seems small but changes trajectory. These moments do not look extraordinary from the outside, but they are monumental on the inside. You may be tempted to dismiss what arrives because it does not look big enough, clear enough, or impressive enough. Do not make that mistake. Seeds do not resemble trees. Beginnings rarely resemble outcomes. God often hides magnitude inside simplicity, so ego does not interfere with obedience. The war you feel inside will intensify briefly when the opportunity appears. That does not mean you are wrong. It means you are crossing a threshold. Resistance always rises at moments of transition. Old identities protest when new assignments emerge. Familiar patterns resist when alignment demands movement. Do not confuse resistance with warning. Return again to the truth. This is a message from God. You are not imagining the pull. You were called. Your light is necessary, which is why this opportunity is being introduced carefully, not violently. God does not overwhelm the chosen. He aligns them. When this opportunity presents itself, you will not need to rush. You will not need to perform. You will not need to convince anyone. Alignment carries its own authority. The right doors open without force. The right people recognize without persuasion. The right timing settles without anxiety. Trust what feels calm beneath the stretch. Trust what aligns beneath the uncertainty. Trust what pulls rather than pushes. This is how divine timing reveals itself. Not through noise, but through resonance. Not through pressure, but through precision. Stand ready, not anxious. Stay open, not desperate. The sudden opportunity approaching you is not meant to disrupt your life. It is meant to position it. It will not take you away from who you are. It will call you deeper into it. Let this land with strength now. You were not prepared for nothing. You were not refined without reason. You were shaped for movement that matters. And when the moment arrives, you will know, not because it is loud, but because it is true. If this touched your soul, comment 111 because you know it now. You were called. The internal shift that makes the breakthrough possible. Circle back to the beginning and ground yourself in this truth once more. This is a message from God. You are not imagining what is happening within you. You were called, and the shift you feel forming internally is not confusion or instability. It is preparation. Before any spiritual breakthrough appears outwardly, it is always birthed inwardly, quietly, deliberately, and often unnoticed by everyone except you. Nothing external changes until something internal settles. God does not move his chosen forward by force. He moves them through alignment, and alignment always begins inside, long before circumstances reflect it. This is why you may feel different even though your environment looks the same. Something has already changed, and that change is positioning you to respond correctly when the moment arrives. Many chosen ones struggle at this stage because the internal shift does not look dramatic. There is no applause, no confirmation, no immediate reward. Instead, there is a subtle rearranging of priorities, reactions, and awareness. Old desires lose urgency. Old fears lose authority. Old patterns begin to feel heavy instead of familiar. This is not loss. This is refinement. Spiritual breakthrough begins when resistance loses its grip. Hesitation, self-doubt, overthinking, and the urge to delay often surface right before movement, not because you are unready, but because the mind senses change and tries to regain control. Fear does not want to be displaced. Familiarity does not want to be challenged, but discernment knows when it is time to move. You may notice yourself replaying decisions before they are even presented, imagining outcomes, questioning your worthiness, wondering if you are truly ready. This is normal, but it is not leadership. God does not require certainty before obedience. He requires trust. Clarity often follows movement, not the other way around. Obedience is not blind submission. It is informed alignment. It is responding to what resonates as true, even when full explanation has not arrived. This is where many miss their moment. They wait for complete understanding instead of listening for confirmation. But God's message to the chosen one rarely arrives with all the details. It arrives with direction and peace. Alignment feels calm, not frantic. It does not demand urgency. It does not provoke panic. Even when the step is significant, there is steadiness beneath it. Fear may still whisper, but it no longer commands. Doubt may still appear, but it no longer decides. This is how you know the internal shift has occurred. Spiritual awakening sharpens discernment. You begin to recognize the difference between anxiety-driven urgency and divinely guided movement. Anxiety pushes. Alignment pulls. Anxiety rushes. Alignment waits without stagnating. Anxiety demands guarantees. Alignment invites trust. Chosen one, the internal shift you are experiencing is not about becoming fearless. It is about becoming grounded. Fear does not disappear. It loses authority. Self-doubt does not vanish. It loses control. Overthinking does not stop overnight. It loses influence. This is growth, not perfection. God strengthens the inner posture before releasing outer change because posture determines response. Opportunity magnifies whatever posture you carry. If fear governs you, opportunity amplifies fear. If trust anchors you, opportunity amplifies clarity. God is ensuring that when the door opens, you walk through it with steadiness instead of chaos. The war you feel inside is real. It is the final negotiation between old identity and new assignment, between what you have known and what you are becoming. That war is not meant to discourage you. It is meant to confirm that transition is happening. Stillness before movement is not stagnation. It is gathering strength. You may feel tempted to delay, to wait a little longer, to prepare just a bit more. Preparation has already occurred. What you are sensing now is not readiness increasing. It is fear negotiating for more time. Discernment knows when enough is enough. Trust that knowing. Spiritual breakthrough is not earned through flawlessness. It is accessed through faithfulness, through responding when God speaks, not when everything makes sense, through moving when alignment confirms, not when fear disappears. This is why chosen ones must learn to trust discernment over emotion. God's message is not meant to overwhelm you. It is meant to steady you. If something feels frantic, pressured, or chaotic, pause. Alignment does not shout. It settles. It carries authority without urgency. That is the internal signal to watch for. As this shift completes, you may notice a quiet confidence emerging, not arrogance, not certainty, but a grounded willingness to move when called. That willingness is enough. God does not need you to know every step. He needs you to take the next one. Return again to the truth and let it anchor you. This is a message from God. You are not imagining the internal change. You were called. The war is part of the calling, not a sign of failure. Your light is necessary, which is why it is being stabilized before it is expanded. Stand firm in this moment. You do not need to rush ahead. You do not need to shrink back. You only need to stay aligned. When the opportunity appears, respond from discernment, not fear, from trust, not perfection, from obedience, not overthinking. This is how breakthrough happens. Quietly first, internally first, then outwardly, unmistakably. If this touched your soul, comment 111, because you know it now. You were called. Crossing the threshold, circle back to the beginning one final time and let this truth stand without resistance. This is God's message. You did not encounter these words by accident. You were not guided here by curiosity alone. You were called, and the reason this moment feels steady instead of urgent, grounding instead of overwhelming, is because divine timing is at work. Every divine calling and chosen, one alignment carries a moment of decision, not a dramatic ultimatum. Not a pressured demand, but a quiet crossing where awareness turns into movement. This is that moment, not because something must be forced, but because something must be acknowledged. You now see what you could not see before. You feel what you once questioned, and that recognition changes everything. God never rushes the chosen one. He invites, he aligns, he opens doors that cannot be forced, and closes ones that were never meant to hold you. You do not need to pry anything open. You do not need to prove readiness. What is aligned will open in its time, and what is misaligned will fall away without struggle. This is not loss. This is protection. Crossing the threshold does not require anxiety. It does not demand urgency. It asks for trust. Stepping forward does not mean running ahead. It means responding when the pull is clear. Divine timing does not shout. It settles, and when the moment arrives, you will not feel frantic. You will feel calm, even if the step is significant. Chosen one, the war you felt inside was real. It was the tension between staying familiar and moving aligned. That war does not disappear overnight. It resolves through choice. Not the choice to be fearless, but the choice to trust what you know is true. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is movement in spite of it. You are not being asked to abandon who you are. You are being invited to step into who you have been becoming. The sudden opportunity approaching you is not meant to disrupt your life. It is meant to position it. It will not require force. It will require presence. It will not demand perfection. It will ask for willingness. This is how spiritual breakthrough unfolds. Quietly at first, internally confirmed, then outwardly revealed. You may not see the full path yet, and that is intentional. God reveals enough to move, not enough to control. Faith grows in steps, not leaps. Trust is built in motion, not in waiting. Let this reassure you now. You do not need to chase signs. You do not need to replay the past. You do not need to fear missing what is meant for you. What is aligned will find you. What is meant for you will not require panic. Divine timing does not expire. It unfolds. If you feel that steady confirmation settling in your spirit right now, comment 777, not out of habit, not out of performance, but as acknowledgement. Alignment recognizes itself. Chosen one, your light is necessary. That is why it was refined instead of rushed. That is why your path demanded patience. That is why clarity came through pressure. God does not waste formation. He prepares what he intends to use. As you cross this threshold, release the need to understand everything. Release the need to control outcomes. Release the fear of making the wrong move. Alignment corrects course gently. Misalignment creates friction. Trust what feels calm beneath the stretch. This message does not end with urgency, because urgency does not build faith. confidence does. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not unprepared. You are aligned, and alignment moves at the speed of trust. Carry this knowing with you after this moment passes. Let it guide your decisions. Let it steady your reactions. Let it remind you that you are not walking alone. God walks ahead, opening what must open and closing what must close. Return again to the truth and let it seal this moment. This is God's message. You were not imagining the pull. You were called. The war was part of the calling, not a sign of failure. Your light is necessary, and it is needed exactly as it has been shaped. Step forward when the invitation appears, without force, without anxiety, with trust. If this touched your soul, comment 111, because you know it now. You were called.